Okay, it's Friday night. I think I got everything rolling here. Welcome back to the man cave. Uh, the year is slowly rolling to an end, and it's been a difficult year for sure. I know it has been for us here. I know it has been for everybody, but hopefully, with any luck, 2021 will be a little bit better to all of us. So, thanks for joining me here again on a Friday night. I've been enjoying doing this, and I'm hoping to continue it. I'd like to keep doing this. We are entering the holiday season here, so uh, I don't know if I'll be back for a Friday night live stream before the first week of January because we have next Friday is Christmas, and I'd like to wish everyone here a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. Uh, and the following Friday, I believe, is New Year's Day. So we'll see how it pans out. I'm not likely to come do a broadcast or do a live stream on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I might. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Everybody that's joined me tonight. Tell me where you're from. And yeah, we're going to have a drink tonight. And since I guess tonight, a glass, and I just actually popped the foil top right off of that cap. I don't know if I can get that back on there or not. No big deal. It's not. It's like I'm gonna save it. We'll kick the night off right with a little bit of Tennessee, or as my tour guide would say, we're gonna have some Tennessee whiskey. So, uh, if you're having a drink with me tonight, let me know. Hey Ryan, uh, I've got some Trappist beers in the fridge, but it's nothing exotic. I think the only thing I have on hand right now is Carmelite, but that's a really good one, and it's something I can buy locally. It's probably the best of the Trappists that I can buy locally. Ed, welcome aboard. Eric, Sean, I hope I pronounced that right. Keith, Scott, Matthew, uh, Devin. It's good to have everybody with us tonight. This, first of all, let me tell you about this Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select. Uh, for those of you that have been with me for the last couple weeks, you know I really, really like that Jack Daniel's single barrel select. The single barrel select, so far, it's the favorite. It is my favorite, and this Sinatra Select is really good, but I don't believe I like it quite as well as I like this bottle of Single Barrel Select that I've been working on. If you want to read the story about Jack Daniels' relationship with Frank Sinatra, it's on the Jack Daniels website. Frank Sinatra may possibly have saved Jack Daniels in a time where the economy was not treating whiskey and bourbon distilleries very well at all. So they have this agreement with the Sinatra family, and they produce this Sinatra Select, and it's the same mash bill as everything else, but this guy gets a special barrel. The charred barrels that they make to age their whiskey in, this guy, they go inside of this barrel, and it's like they take a router and they cut a spiral groove in the barrel, which gets, I think it gets additional toasting. It doesn't get charred like the regular inside of the barrel does, but this whiskey, as it's aging in the barrel, gets a little different profile because the characteristics of the barrel are different. It's exposing the whiskey in the barrel to a lot more surface area, and it's a little bit of a diverse surface area to what everything else gets exposed to. This is 45% ABV. It's a 90 proof, so it's barrel at a little higher alcohol content than Old Number 7 and Gentleman Jack. It's a little lower alcohol content than the Single Barrel Select. It's a lot lower alcohol content than the Single Barrel Proof. And I don't know what the is on Jack Daniel's Old Number 27. I haven't managed to acquire a bottle of that yet, so I'm working on that. Thank you, Mike. This is a very smooth drinker, and that's one of the things I noticed about it when we were tasting at the distillery. This and the number 27 were probably two of the smoothest tasting whiskeys I've had in my life, and can't take that away from this. This bottle of whiskey, though, is just expensive. I bought it just because I wanted it, and I'll likely never buy it again. But it's way out of the pricing of what I'm comfortable with spending on whiskey or bourbon. Okay, well that's what I'm having tonight. So I saw somebody here that's here regularly with us is having Woodford Reserve, and I haven't managed to buy any of that yet either. I can't buy it all. I will eventually get there though. All right, this week in the cooking world here, I had a rather slow week in terms of cooking, but I know last week I told you about that rack of pork. I published the rack of pork video today. It's shared here on the Man Cave Meals page. It's posted directly on Atlanta Grill Company's Facebook page and on Atlanta Grill Company's YouTube channel. That roast has probably been one of the most favorite things I've done this year. It's an 8-bone Frenched pork loin, bone-in pork loin, and it's just amazing. I did my cinnamon and maple brine on it. I know some of you that follow me have seen that several times, but the reason you've seen it several times is because it's amazing. It is absolutely fantastic brine for pork, especially your lean pork like the pork loin or a pork tenderloin. I cannot get over how well that flavor works. So I didn't do the Kamado Joe with it. I put it on the Masterbuilt Gravity 1050, and it did a fantastic job with it. And the reason I chose the 1050 for that cook is because I wanted to treat that roast the exact same way I treated the prime rib earlier in the month. I wanted to put it on at 500 degrees for a little while to get a nice caramelization going on the outside of that meat. 50 to finish it. So that's what we did. And the 1050, the Masterbuilt Gravity series is perfect for that because it gives up heat quickly. It doesn't have a whole bunch of thermal mass like a Kamado does. And when I had it up to 500, and I put the roast in there for about 15 minutes or so at 500 to start it browning, and then I just changed the temperature setting to 250, and I had the lid open for a couple of minutes while I was talking on the video, and I closed it up, and that thing settled down to 250 within an hour on a ceramic grill, if not longer, to get it back down to that without putting the fire out. But yeah, that Gravity series, you've heard me talk about it too. You know I like that grill, so we're going to be seeing even more of that in the coming year because I've got a rotisserie coming for it that we're going to try some things on. Jason, yes, Blanton's is expensive. It sure. Shane says he's fixing to pick up a 1050. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with it. So, but I got that video up this week, and if you haven't seen it yet, go give it a look. These racks of pork, I've been told, are seasonal items from Costco, and since I don't have a Costco locally, my closest one's an hour away. When I first saw this a couple weeks ago, I said I got to go get one, so I did. And after I cooked that thing and tasted it, I went back to Costco today and I bought another one to toss in the freezer, and it's in the freezer, so I'll have another one. I just can't imagine. I mean, that's a meal for 8 people right there that costs $18 for. It's $3 a pound at Costco, $2.99 a pound, and the rack I bought today is the same size as the one I cooked in the video. It's about 10, or it's about so. The other cook I did this week is the video that I published yesterday, which is my fruitcake. I've done that video once before for Kamado Joe, but I want that video to be associated with the Atlanta Grill Company site as well, because it is a banging fruitcake. If you like fruitcake, you're going to love this one. If you don't like fruitcake, you're probably going to love this one. So go check that out too. I'd like to see some to try. It's a cast iron pan fruitcake, and it's fantastic. It's got a beautiful, rich, sweet, fruity flavor. It doesn't have any nuts in it. I know most fruitcakes have nuts in it, but I don't like nuts. I'm weird like that, and you can put nuts in it if you wanted to. Like I said, a fruitcake is just like a meatloaf. You can throw whatever you want in it, but I don't put any nuts in mine. I put a bunch dried fruits, put dried cherries, dried apricots, dried figs, dried cranberries. I put some candied ginger in it. It's just really packed with flavor. And beyond that, it's got whiskey in it. The 50-50 mix of apple juice and whiskey. Or you could use bourbon. You know, any brown liquor is going to work. You probably could pull that off with dark. That might even be good with rum, come to think of it. But and then we've got the seasonings that I put in there. It's got uh, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and clove. You know, it's the Christmas flavors. It's there. It's just full of it. So it's beautiful. It comes to the hard part of that cook is what I call or what the French call the mise en place. It's getting everything ready. I posted a picture of that on the Man Cave Meals Facebook page earlier this week, and it comes up. Uh-oh, Mom's here. Mom, I'll talk to you about the fruitcake tomorrow. So I'm glad Mom could join me tonight. Y'all, I gotta tell you something right quick now. Mom fussed at me last week about I used in this live stream, and my mom was upset with me for doing that. So I promised I'm gonna behave. I'm gonna try happen again. Yeah, Kevin, she did. She called me about it. She did. My phone. It wasn't Friday night. I think it was Saturday next day. I heard about it, and yeah, I won't do that again. I certainly won't. But try the fruitcake. Be disappointed with it. It does not taste like a typical fruitcake, and that's probably what I like about it. So that's all the cooking had to do this week. Next week, I'm not sure what. I've got a video done for Thursday for next week, and it's a quick one. I just told you I don't like nuts, but next week's video is my candied pecans, and the reason I've done a separate little video on that's because my wife loves them and her coworkers love them also. It's a real simple to do candied pecan recipe, and I made the candied pecans one time before as part of another video that I did. I used candied pecans to garnish. I think I garnished a pecan cheesecake with it, or I garnished something with it, and I just decided to make a little separate video on that process because that's something. They taste good. Like I said, I don't like the nuts, but I put a few of them in my mouth and let the candied part of it dissolve in my mouth. And once again, put a little whiskey in that. You can't go wrong. It's like a very simple glaze you mix up with powdered sugar. You know how these powdered sugar frostings and glazes come together with, you just put a little bit of liquid in your powdered sugar and stir it up until what you get the consistency you're looking for. So I do that basically here, whiskey, to get the consistency I'm looking for. And there's, a little bit of, just a little cayenne pepper in that also, just enough to let you know that it's there. And my wife loved it. It's one of the other things I do that my wife loves. It's non-protein. So Luca and Jeff are with us tonight. Yeah, I'm glad you're watching. I'm glad Mom's watching tonight. She gotta go by. I'm coming by tomorrow. I've got some. I gotta go pick up some stuff. We're going to visit Mom on my way to work tomorrow. Which I so affectionately call the COVID pit now. So yeah, Matt, welcome aboard. Do something else. I'm gonna do another cook. That'll be it'll be a video to post on Friday, which is Christmas Day. I just don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I haven't made up my mind. Matt, I've got a bunch of turkey videos. Go check out the most recent one on the Atlanta Grill Company Facebook page or the Atlanta Grill Company YouTube channel. That's the one I'm going to be recommending people to because it's my most recent one, and I've taken what I consider to be all of my best practices so far cooking a turkey and rolled it all into one. And I've done a lot, and I like that one, so that would be the one I'd recommend. I don't know what we're going to do for next week. If you've got something you'd like to see a cooking video for next week, let me know. Don't give me something complicated because I'm not going to do something next week that takes up a lot of time. I'm going to do something quick. Don't know what it'll be yet. So we are on cooking. Bye, Mom. Look, she's got y'all watching me now. She's look at that. Now I feel like there's somebody taking names. It's like in grade school when you're not allowed to talk, and there's somebody taking names. You got to watch who's writing stuff down while the teacher's out of class. So I'm not going to get in trouble this week. Matt, feel free to. I've done it both ways. It's good. For me, poultry on the rotisserie, I don't get the skin results I like on the rotisserie with poultry. But I was having a conversation with some of my online friends, including Mr. Stephen Hickey, this week about the rotisserie, and I'll admit it. I'm a little bit. It's not that I don't like the rotisserie. That's definitely a fun tool to use. I'm having trouble in ways what I do by using the rotisserie. And Steven said something that made me think about it again. He said it's not always about improving something; it's about the fun factor that's involved in it, and that's 100% true. The rotisserie is a fun tool to use. I do like cooking with it, with the lid open, and I'm trying to get more people inspired to do that. Uh, but that's going to kind of segue us into something else I want to talk about tonight, which is temperature. We are all way too concerned with what the temperature is, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I'm going to do some more rotisserie stuff. But what's going to happen now? And unfortunately, this is something that's going to be easier for people that have the the 3 series Kamado Joe or a rotisserie on the Masterbuilt Gravity series, because what I'm going to work on doing is some indirect heat rotisserie cooking. When it comes to turkey and chickens, I like them cooked on the rotisserie, but I can never get the skin the way I like it cooking on a rotisserie. The skin never firms up the way I like it to. So what I'm going to do, the bird cooks faster when you're cooking on a rotisserie and doing it the proper way, because not only do you have convective heat coming up from the fire, you're dealing with radiant heat as well, and that makes the meat cook faster. Which we're going to talk about a little bit deeper here in a minute. 200 degrees or let's say 400 degrees is not equal in all cases. And since the meat cooks faster, I don't think my skin's having the time to firm up the way I like it. So I'm going to work on some higher temperature indirect cooking with the rotisserie and see if I can improve my results there. So when we talk about temperature, I don't know about you guys, but I have spent a lot of money on electronic and computerized temperature control and temperature monitoring. I thought about trying to make a list of everything I've bought since I started smoking to control temperature, and I'm afraid to, because the number's crazy. The temperature control system that I'm using right now is the Fireboard 2 drive, which that kit that I bought was 200. Was it 240? It's 249. Plus, I bought the $59 fan to go with it, so you're over $300 at that point. And I spent 300. Just think about that for a minute. $300 on that controls my grill for me. And I spent on the first grill I bought, and that thing doesn't cook anything. It just goes with what else you've got. This guy right here, this Thermapen, this is a $4 instant read thermometer. It works great, but it's $100. This is not. I'm not using this as my go-to anymore. I really like the Javelin, the Lava Tools Javelin, which is in my box. I should have gotten it out here, but it's $50. One I have sitting here, this is the ThermaPro. This is a $30 one that works pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Money. But temperature, temperature is equal in all cases. The best thing to do, what really brought this to my attention was reading Meathead's book, The Science of Barbecue and Grilling, the Meathead Goldwyn book. It's a really good book, and he describes it quite elegantly in there about the 3 different kinds of heat. You've got convective heat, and all convective heat is I got people complaining about the sound cutting out. Maybe I've got problems. I can't assume that it's all on my end. It might be. Okay, well, sorry about that. It's not something I can make an adjustment and fix. We'll just have to try it. But if it's a problem, I will post the replay of this on my YouTube channel. So we'll see how it goes. I've got the stream. And anyway, convective heat is just warm air moving around your food. You've got conductive heat, which is like if you're putting a piece of meat in a pan on a hot surface, it's in direct contact with a heat source. 400 degrees of conductive heat is a lot more powerful than 400 degrees of convective heat. It's more efficient at delivering the heat to the food you put on it. You've got radiant heat as well, and the best way to describe, my favorite way to describe radiant heat is stepping from the shade into the sunshine on a hot summer day. It's still 90 degrees in the shade, but when you step out into the sun at 90 degrees, it feels a lot hotter, and that's the radiant. It's the direct radiation. The direct radiant heat is more efficient at delivering that temperature also. And each of these methods, or combination of these methods, causes your food to cook differently. If you're at 400 degrees indirect, if you're cooking let's say a Boston butt, it's going to cook slower than if you had it on a rotisserie over and over where it was 400 degrees at the spit. It's going to cook a lot faster because you've got the convective heat cooking that meat, and you've got the radiant heat cooking it as well. It's going to cook it a lot faster. It's going to cook it a lot more intensely. So be careful with stuff like that. It may overcook the outside of your meat, and that's what's different about cooking on a rotisserie, is you're dealing with a combination of heat and convective heat all at the same time. So like I said, I'm going to do experiments in the near future with higher temperature indirect cooks. I may bring the Kamado up to 500 degrees indirect and do a rotisserie chicken in there and see how it turns out, because I think I might be able to get a result that I like better doing that than doing it direct. But we're going to find out. We're going to have some fun with the rotisserie in the coming year. But talking about the temperatures is rolling me into the gadgets that I want. That was supposed to be here today, and it's not. It's sitting in a sorting facility somewhere because the U.S. Postal Service has had a heck of a time getting deliveries on time here lately. So, but it's also my fault for not ordering it any sooner. I have a product here I want to look at today. This is the Meter Plus, and disclosure, I did not buy this, but this was not given to me by the meter people. This was given to me by, and they gave me this as a little gift because of how much money I've recommended a lot of business their way. But what this is a wireless meat probe. This is a wireless thermometer. This wooden block that it's serves two purposes. It charges the probe, and it also acts as a Bluetooth repeater. So what happens is you pop this guy out, and you have this meat probe. This guy's about 5 inches long, and it's hard to see the mark on the barrel of this probe right here, and that tells you how far in you need to insert this when you put this in the meat. It has to come into about the middle. And this guy reads two temperatures. You get a meat reading, internal temperature of the meat reading from this end of the thermometer. And this ceramic end out here reads the ambient temperature of your grill. So this guy reads both temperatures. It's wireless. This is the middle level of this product that Meter sells. Meter sells another one that it doesn't broadcast as far as this one because its Bluetooth is coming from just the thermometer itself. But this guy makes a Bluetooth connection to the dock. And the dock rebroadcasts the Bluetooth connection to your device. So with this guy being inside the grill and this being outside the grill, you get a little bit better transmission back to your phone. But in my case, I'm not happy with this as far as the distance that it's able to transmit is concerned, because I can come back into my basement, into my man cave, and I am probably 40 linear feet from my grill when I do that, but it's through about 2 walls of the house, and I cannot maintain signal from my work desk back to the grill with this. But there's a higher level of this that they offer that's got a Wi-Fi bridge, and the dock connects to Wi-Fi, and then the app that you're using to monitor this gets its data from the cloud. So that solves the distance problem. But that the Meter unit's 249, 259. I don't remember. I bought another one. There's a competitor to this product that I've ordered, and like I said, I wish it was here tonight so I could show you, but it's not. It's called the Meat Stick, and $79 for the Meat Stick, and it's got a Wi-Fi bridge. It comes with two. It comes with 2 of the thermometer probes, and it comes with a Wi-Fi bridge where I can connect it to the cloud and do all that from the cloud. And I'm curious, the Meat Stick also has some advantages over the Meter. The Meter probes are not waterproof, so you have to keep that in mind whether you use them. The reason I wanted the Meat Stick is the Meat Stick probes are waterproof, and it gives me 2 distinct advantages over the Meter. I can throw the Meat Stick probes. I can put a piece of meat. I can stick in a piece of meat and then vacuum seal the bag and throw that in a. I can throw that in a sous vide bath and be reading the temperature of the meat. There's some cases where I'd want to do that on sous vide, but I can also deep fry something. I can put that in put the Meat Stick probe and a piece of meat like a chicken or a turkey that I'm going to throw in a deep fryer, and it won't hurt it. It's perfectly safe to do that with the Meat Stick, so that's the reason I bought that one. Both of these guys have some drawbacks. Neither one of them is a perfect solution after everything's said and done. The Meter is not a perfect solution because, in my opinion, for 2 reasons. It's more expensive for the Wi-Fi unit, and it's not waterproof. It doesn't give me those options. The Meat Stick is less expensive, but as I read more about the Meat Stick, the Wi-Fi bridge doesn't come with a way to power it. It comes with a USB cable, so you either have to provide your own USB battery to power it, or you have to have one of those little plugs where you can plug it in to an AC cord, plug it into the wall and power it. It just doesn't come with its own power source. So in my mind, it's incomplete. It's a partial package without that. It's less expensive. Maybe that's partially why it's less expensive. You got to provide some of that to make it go. And yeah, it is good for a rotisserie cook. That's another thing, and I think that's the only reason I can determine so far that most people they're buying that. It's because they got to have a meat probe in their meat while they've got it on the rotisserie. You can save yourself a bundle of money by turning the switch off on the rotisserie and sticking this guy in it to see what the temperature is. And don't tell me about you need to be able to check that one while you're taking your kid to soccer practice or while you're going to the grocery store. If you got meat on a rotisserie and you've left the premises, we need to have a talk. But yeah, the wireless meat probe has me intrigued a little bit at this point. I never would have bought one had I not seen multiple uses for it. This product right here, the Meter Plus, I think is a perfect tool for indoor cooking. You can probably put this in your oven in a piece of meat that you're cooking inside, set the dock up on the counter somewhere, and probably read it from anywhere inside your house. I'm betting that'll work. So it's a really cool tool. But where I wanted to end up with this is where I see the market going in the future. One of the things I've seen during the time I've been in barbecue is this is a little bit weird how it works. The market is telling us what we need rather than giving us what we want. And what I mean by that is Wi-Fi is the thing these days. It's everybody, and this, I'm showing my age here, and I'm going to sound like a curmudgeon when I say this, but in this day and time, nobody wants to do anything unless there's a phone between you and whatever you're doing. My grills, I've got two grills outside that have Wi-Fi built in, and I've added Wi-Fi capabilities to the Kamados through the fireboard. I have outside that have Wi-Fi built in. I never use the Wi-Fi function. The Traeger Timberline 850's got Wi-Fi. I just don't use it. I'm not one. I don't look at it. I cook when I'm at home. I'm not out running errands while I've got food on the grill, unless it's something like a butt or a brisket that's going to take all day to cook. But I've cooked enough of those things that I know I know about when they're going to be done, and I schedule that where I'm not going to be out running around at that time when they're done. But in the marketplace today, if you go to a pellet grill forum, and it's just like a Kamado forum or any other grill forum, somebody comes in there and says, "What should I buy?" Well, nobody is going to want a pellet grill that doesn't have Wi-Fi. The market has made it to where a grill that doesn't have Wi-Fi is undesirable. Nobody's interested in that grill. And if I'm incorrect, I want somebody to show me where, because it's one of those things. Everybody's got to have the Wi-Fi model, and I don't really understand it. I understand maybe it is the cool factor, maybe it's the fun factor that we talked about earlier. It's cool that it's got Wi-Fi. It's cool that you can be sitting on a toilet at work 30 miles away and pop your phone up and see what the temperature of your grill is, and what the temperature inside that meat is. That's a cool factor, but it's when you talk about necessity, I don't see it. I really don't. But it's in the decision process. It's part of what we shop for now. It's if the grill's not smart, if it's not part of this Internet of Things, we don't want it. And I think that's unfortunate in a lot of ways, because the companies now are scrambling to all have Wi-Fi, and that's an added cost. You no longer have the low cost option. These pellet grills out there now that don't have Wi-Fi, they're cheaper. I've seen pellet grills as cheap as $2.99, and but it's the least desirable grill on the market. A PID controller, and it doesn't have Wi-Fi. It cooks great, cooks fine. My first pellet grill, which is still in use by my brother-in-law, has the PID, and it's got no Wi-Fi, and it still cooks great. But not many people buy that grill today. I mean, there might be some people that would buy it, but it's not a big seller in the market. But anyway, the future in temperature controllers, I think, I actually even sent an email to Fireboard about this week, something I'd like to see. And if this is something you'd like to see, you should send that as well. But I think the next step in temperature control systems, such as the Fireboard, the Flame Boss, the Barbecue Guru, the Smart Fire, whatever all these things are that are out there, is the same thing they do now. They've got multiple probes. They'll control a fan that will control your grill. But the next step in that market is going to be putting a wireless probe with it. And I really think that would be cool. At that point, I'm thinking about how cool it is. Thinking about how expensive it's going to be. It's going to take that $250 Fireboard kit that I have now and probably turn it into a $400 Fireboard kit. But you know what? When they do it, it'll be just like everything else. They'll sell out their pre-orders. They'll sell out their first manufacturing run of them, and I think it would be for everybody that's got to have this in between them and the grill. That's what they're going to want, that, because then you don't have to have a separate tool. Everybody that's cooking on a rotisserie on a Kamado right now, or a rotisserie on some other grill, they need a wireless probe if they feel like they've got to be able to know what the meat temperature is all the time. But you can't have this. This doesn't integrate with your temperature control system. The interesting thing about the rotisseries are there's not a lot of people, I don't think, trying to use a temperature control system with the rotisserie, though, now that I think about it, because you don't want to expose those temperature sensors and the wiring that they're associated with to direct flame, and you got to be careful with that because they don't handle it well. That radiant heat is damaging sometimes to the wiring and to the probe itself. So Mike says meter is a great idea, but need to rein in ambient accuracy. Some people talked about that when I made my post on the Man Cave Meals page here about the meter earlier this week. I had several comments about ambient temperatures being crazy, but I've got this Anova precision oven here that's very accurate. It's designed to be very accurate. So I decided to test it, and I posted the graph, and mine is accurate. And what I'm curious about is if the inaccuracies being described of the ambient temperature are the same sort of inaccuracies we see when you put a digital probe on your grate, because that's the most inconsistent place to read temperature is on your grate. I've demonstrated this I don't know how many times. So if you believe if you think your meter ambient temperature is inaccurate, put it in a controlled environment if you can to test it. Stick it in a baked potato and put it in your inside oven and see if it's any more accurate in there, because I haven't been able to get mine to be inaccurate. And as many people as I saw posting about how inaccurate they are, I'd like to determine, if they're that far off, if they're inaccurate. But mine is dead on. Mine was within 5 degrees of what I had set the temperature on my oven. And I even tried it in 2 ovens. I tried it in my big oven also and got the same result. Mine's dead on accurate. So it's not a problem. I don't think it's a problem in the design because it's perfectly capable of being accurate. So check it, and if you think about it, let me know what your result was, because I don't know. Maybe there's a bunch of defective ones out there. Maybe there's some that are way out of calibration. But I don't know how to calibrate. I don't know how to check calibration for an ambient probe, because it's reading convective heat rather than conductive heat. The 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 probe inside is going to be reading a lot more efficiently, more quickly, and more accurately because it's in an environment where the temperature is not changing rapidly. So the sensor, the ambient sensor on this meter plus is built into a ceramic probe. So what I'm confident there is nothing's going to change quickly. Uh, it's not going to change like a very quick changing metallic sensor in the meat would. Uh, when you've just got air flowing around it, it's going to take it a while to settle in and get stable. So I'm curious about all of those complaints. I'm bad about asking questions. I come from a computer programming background, and when somebody tells me something's wrong, uh, I'm just trained by nature to look at the end user first. I know that's horrible to say. Uh, it's it's not always the right answer, but in a lot of cases it will be. So put it in a controlled environment before you say it's bad, and it may be bad. We'll find out. Since that probe is not waterproof, you can't drop it. You can't drop it in a glass of ice water to test both ends of it without ruining it. You'd be able to do that with the one on the meat stick. And that thing's probably going to come rolling in here tomorrow, and I'm going to be upset. But I'll do a review video on it for Man Cave Meals. It's something I'm kind of stoked about. I'm going to try some things with it. There's a lot of sous vide instances where I think that would be extremely useful to know the temperature of the meat in the bag, because there's some things that it's not beneficial to leave them in a sous vide cook any longer than they need to be there. And steaks are the number one thing I think that's going to work with. If you salt your steak, which I like to do, that salt's one of the byproducts of salt and proteins is it's going to tenderize it. And the longer you leave it in that bath, the more tender that meat's going to get. And you can turn a steak mushy by leaving it in there. It doesn't need to be in that bag any longer than it takes to get it to the temperature you want. And you can't know what that is without a thermometer being in there. So that's where I am tonight. I don't have much of anything else. I didn't have a big agenda for tonight because, like I said, I'm just winding down the year. Uh, One other thing I like to do, the new year's coming up, and I always like to have some cooking resolutions for. Uh, I don't know what those are yet. I haven't really sat down to think about it. But this year, I didn't develop my resolutions until the year was really getting started, when we were starting to talk about COVID. And when we started talking about quarantining and staying at home more, I decided one of the things I wanted to do with my cooking is I wanted to up my game in baking, and baking specifically breads. And some of the videos that I've published this year here on the Man Cave Meals channel, as you know, are bread cooks. And I haven't got all the videos made I wanted to do with that, but well, yeah, I'll say I mastered them, because some of these I had to make 3 or 4 times to get them where I was comfortable with them. But I've mastered several bread projects that I wanted to become good at, and I'm real happy about that. It was very productive, and I want to challenge each of you to do something in terms of a goal for learning to cook something you don't know how to cook, or mastering something that you're at. Uh, Barbecue offers a lot of opportunities for mastery, because some things are picky, some things don't like to cook well. But if you really you want to get into something that will challenge your skills, have a look at bread and baking, because bread, especially if you want to deal with sourdoughs and home cultured yeasts, it's it's there's a lot of art involved. The science breaks down when you're dealing with unknowns like yeast. Yeast changes the game, and all yeast is not created equal. Chris Lentz says he made the pumpkin pie and it was fabulous. I'm glad you liked that. I wish my mom was still on now, because that's another sore spot, because my family liked my pumpkin pie better than hers, which is not a bad thing. My mom's pumpkin pie was good, but mine's really good. It is good. uh, so, uh, Mike says he wants to look at some breads. Have a look at some of the most recent bread videos on the Man Cave Meals YouTube page, because there's the first one I started with was my sandwich loaf, and I wanted to make what I considered to be a perfect sandwich loaf, and I did, and I had to make it a bunch of times and make some tweaks here and there to get it just right, but I love it. It's a fantastic loaf, and we did bagels. I did cinnamon rolls. I did focaccia. I did ciabatta. Uh, what am I missing? Oh, I did dinner yeast rolls. Those were not hard. Those are really good. The two that I didn't get to that were on my list that I wanted to do was I didn't get to croissants. I really wanted to play with that, and I'm still going to do that. That's another one that's a real art to getting just right. And I want to do simple buttermilk biscuits. That one I'll probably get to also, because all I've got to do is try it a few times, and I've got to figure out what the consistency is supposed to feel like. I've never done it enough to know. You know, I've watched these people put a pile of flour on a counter and put a little egg, a little buttermilk in it, or maybe it's just buttermilk. It's butter. It's butter and buttermilk. So it's cold butter, buttermilk. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm going to do that. So that's all I've got. The one thing I didn't do that I had set out to do this year was learn to make the perfect hollandaise from scratch by hand. I haven't written that off yet. That's not hard to do. It's one of those things that's not hard to do that I want to get. And actually, I do know one of the things I'm going to do for the year. I was going to get it done before the end of the year and didn't. I'm going to learn how to debone a chicken. I've watched that done so many times. I want to try it. I actually bought a couple of chickens, and I still haven't tried it yet. I watched Chef Eric on a video, and I've watched Jacques Pepin's video on YouTube I don't know how many times now. So we're going to do it. So guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I don't know if you'll see me again before the first of the year. If you do, great. If not, you guys have a safe and happy holiday.